Hi everyone, welcome back. This is BPD Woman. I am your BPD Woman host, Jen. On this channel, I talk about my experiences living with, dealing with, managing, and overcoming ineffective maladaptive behaviors due to my borderline personality diagnosis. I am not a therapist, a life coach. I'm not a PhD, but I am someone who has lived with the disorder for the last 20 years, and I think that I offer a unique and valuable perspective, and I hope you will find it helpful in your quest for answers. This channel is for anyone who has BPD, who has just been diagnosed or has been diagnosed 20 years ago. If you're a friend or a family member, if you're just somebody who wants to know a little bit more, you're in the right place, so welcome. I'm gonna be a little bit informal because I'm having a lazy Sunday. Well, until I have to work later. So I've got my coffee. I'm still in my jammy jams. Today I want to talk about personalizing a situation, catastrophic thinking, and how that plays into having borderline personality disorder. When you have borderline personality disorder, you are usually in a place of low self-esteem, catastrophic thinking, worry, and often act on behaviors that exacerbate your anxiety and worry, and in turn, inevitably push people away that otherwise would want to be close to you. Think about a friend that sends you a text and then you haven't replied, and send it a couple hours later and a couple hours later, and then as you send these texts, you've got this dueling feelings going on. The one feeling of, where are they? Why are they not replying to me? What's going on? Have I done something? And then on the other hand, you have a sense of shame that kind of builds up as you continue to text them. You know that you shouldn't be doing that. Like there's something in you that says, stop. And this is a good time to use the stop technique. And so I'm going to talk a little bit of a situation that I'm going through this morning. And I'm going to tie that into catastrophic thinking, personalized thinking, and using the stop technique, and how to stop yourself from going down the rabbit hole, internalizing things that would feed into your low self-worth or your narrative of who you are. You know, we all have a narrative of what we think we are, why we are, who we are, what we do. It's our image, right? And if you have BPD, one of the hallmarks of BPD is having an unstable self-image, who we are, what we want, where we're going. Now, a lot of people struggle with who they are, what they want. You know, ask somebody who's 50 years old, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they'll be like, I'm still working on it, you know? So there's never a definitive answer. We're all evolving and changing. I think that's exciting. I always seek to know more. But if you have an unstable self-image, then you know your foundation is shaky. You know, think of it building a house on sand or on concrete. Obviously, if you build it on concrete, it's going to be a lot more stable. And so concrete represents a stronger sense of self, a foundation that's strong of who you are and believing in what you do is ethical and right, and you're living up to your own morals. And the sand is the complete opposite. Low self-worth, constant thinking, needing validation from other people. Another reason why borderlines worry so much is because we do have an inability to validate ourselves. And that's been brought on by years, generally, of being invalidated by a caretaker, a family member, or another abusive person or situation. You know, in my example, my father was incredibly abusive and he would never own up to that. I mean, we're talking a sustained, lengthy, decades-long campaign of abuse of all kinds. And his favorite thing to say would be, I'm sorry you feel that way. That never happened, right? Denying someone's interpretation of reality is probably the highest level of invalidation that you can get. And there's another word for it, gaslighting. So let me preface by saying that, again, I own a small business, and it's a pet sitting and dog walking business. And every Sunday I send out my invoices to my clients. And generally, Sunday, they have until 5 p.m. to pay for the upcoming week. Generally, it's been a worry period when I send out these invoices. A lot of times clients will pay right away. Sometimes they don't. I can pretty much track, which clients tend to pay when. Some are like, boom, as soon as they get the text, they send it. Other people wait until 2 p.m. Sometimes people forget, but if there's a pattern or a baseline of behavior, then I generally base my interpretation of them off that behavior. So I have a relatively new client. I've only been walking the dog about 3 weeks now. It's once a week. She is a family member of another family that I have been sitting for about 1.5 years now, pretty steadily. They've used me quite a bunch. They're very happy. I'm very happy with them. And this is a family member, and she has a puppy. The dog is very sweet, but he can be super rambunctious. And the first week that I sent out the invoices to her, she paid right away. She followed up with a text right away. Got it, paid, thank you, we really appreciate you, thank you for walking the doggy. Okay. Second week, same thing. Now, this past week when I walked the dog, he was pretty rambunctious. In my report cards, I'm pretty detailed about what happened. I am not abusive towards animals. I don't spray bottle them. I try to use positive reinforcement and patience and treats to elicit the behavior that I want to see happen. So, but this dog is young and he's excited and he's pent up with some energy when I come over. And so actually last week he split my lip. Now I left that part out of the report card, but I did, I did, it was raining that day, so the dog was struggling to walk through puddles. He wanted to pull me back home. When we got home, I was drying him off. He was biting at my hands and biting at the towel. And he didn't make it easy. It was not the easiest walk with him. And the jumping can be pretty, he jumped on the table. Like I said, he split my lip, but he's a sweet dog. There was nothing in my behavior that I'm ashamed of doing, that I can think of would that have upset someone? So we have this situation where, one, I've had some pretty positive experiences with this new client, paying on time, very complimentary of my work. But this last week, it was kind of uncomfortable for me to basically tell her in this report card, your dog was jumping. He did not make it easy drying him off after the walk. Now I didn't shame in the report card. I didn't say the dog needs this. I can't believe he did this. None of it was judgmental. I stand by what I wrote, and she wrote back, oh, I love him so much. Yes, it's hard to dry him off. We're still working on that. He just has a lot of energy. Thank you for walking him. And I was like, hey, no problem. I was like, my dog tends to do the same thing. You're doing a great job with him. Thank you for letting me walk him, right? So it was pretty positive in exchange. So that was 4 days ago. So today I send out all of my invoices, and I sent them out pretty early, around 8 a.m. Haven't heard anything from her. So 4 out of my 6 reoccurring clients that I send invoices out have paid. Now one hasn't paid yet, but she generally doesn't pay till later in the afternoon, and we're friends, so I expect that. But for this particular client, this is unusual. So I took a nap. I got back up at around noon, and still hadn't received money, hadn't received a text from her. So now the worry cycle starts, right? and the catastrophic thinking starts, and the personalization of events starts. What do I mean by personalization? Something that happens, you internalize as it having to do with you. Okay, a simple example could be you pass a coworker at work or a friend on the street, and they have a very sullen face. They don't make eye contact with you. They don't say hello to you or good morning. They're not their usual self. What do? What do you think? Do you immediately think they're mad at me? This has something to do with me? Did I do something to upset you? That's where my mind tends to go. That's personalization, interpreting an event's outcome that it has something to do with you. When really, that person could have their period, not feel good, or they're sick, or they're sad, or they're really tired, or they have a new baby and they're exhausted. There's all kinds of explanations to explain away why they may have just not said good morning like that, right? But if you are a highly sensitive person, you have low self-esteem, you worry about things like having friends, you worry about not being able to self-validate or self-soothe yourself, you can tend to interpret these events that they have something to do with you, and it can be intrusive. It can take over a morning or a day even, and it's very hard. It's very hard to sit and wait for an outcome to play out, to get all of the facts, and to not make these judgments. So I know that I'm worrying about this situation, and I'm worrying the following. She doesn't like me. She thinks I'm too personable or friendly. She's not going to hire me again. She's going to tell the other client that I work with that is a family member not to hire me anymore. She's going to leave me a bad review. I'm going to lose my income from her, right? These are the negative thoughts that immediately come from what I call the tapes that run around in our mind that say the following, you suck, you're no good. It's all that negative self-talk. And I had to stop. Remember, the stop technique is to stop what you're doing, okay? Take a step back, which means kind of like don't act at all. Just distract yourself, take a deep breath, have a cup of coffee, observe what's going on. Observe what's going on in your body, what your thoughts are, observe what your previous patterns of thinking are. For me, I'm thinking, she doesn't like me and it has something to do with me, and I need to reevaluate that, check the facts. Right? And then P for stop is proceed mindfully. So instead of assuming, she doesn't like me because I'm a shitty person or I'm a terrible pet sitter, whatever the case may be, let me come up with some other interpretations. Okay. Maybe she's at a Halloween party today. Maybe she's running a race today. Maybe she thought she sent the money and then that didn't happen. That's happened with clients, like clients who have paid me very consistently and then don't one day I'd be like, did you send the money through? And they think they did, but they didn't. Maybe she's ill. Maybe there's a family emergency. Who knows? Maybe her phone's on do not disturb. I'm not sure. But I have a policy that says you don't have to pay me until 5 p.m. Now, okay, so I feel like reaching out to her at 1 p.m. and saying, did you get my text? Everything good? You still paying me? Or am I coming this week? Now, why wouldn't I do that? Why should I not do that? Well, first of all, if there is nothing wrong, then it's going to show a sense of anxiety on my part that she's going to be able to pick up on, right? 2, she has until 5 p.m. So she could wonder if there is nothing wrong. Well, why is she asking me if I've paid? I have until 5 p.m. But the most important reason why I'm not reaching out until 5 p.m. and why I'm going to sit and wait, however hard that may be, is my own self-worth. I checked the facts. I used the check the facts skill, which means to review the situation and to check those facts about what happened. 1, did I do anything unethical or unprofessional? No, I did not. 2, was I honest with the client? Yes. 3, did I fulfill my obligations in the last visit with the dog and do what I promised to do? Yes. Have I lived up to my end of the bargain? Yes. Okay. So there's not, petting the doggy, there's not anything that I feel ashamed of doing that warrants me to act out of this place of making amends or following up in an anxious manner. And if I were to do that, let's go back to that analogy of the sand foundation and the concrete foundation. I want to feel solid in who I am and what I do and not shaky. So right now I'm assuming, even though it's hard to use opposite action here, that's another technique, another DBT skill, opposite action. When you feel like doing something out of anxiety or something that might not be effective, in this case, it's sending a text right now because I want to clear up what's going on, because it's hard for me to sit with what's going on. So I reach out and I ask this question, right? Well, instead of doing that, I'm going to sit and wait. And that can be tough. It gets easier with time and practice. I do promise you that. But I have to sit and wait. And so I'm going to make this video instead. I'm going to take the dog on a walk. I'm going to do my laundry. I'm going to wait till it's 5 o'clock and then I will follow up. Hey, am I walking the dog this week? Everything cool? What's going on? My dog is so cute. Oh, yes, you are. So, that shows a level of mastery, self-control, professionalism, and it's living up to who I want to be. I don't want to be running around having other people self-validate me. Now, what if it turns out that she says, yeah, you know what, I'm going to cancel the walks, and doesn't give me an explanation? Then I'm going to say, okay, I'm sorry to hear that. I might ask why. In fact, I probably would ask why. But I still do not feel ashamed of the service that I have given. Like, I still believe that I've given quality service. So I would hope that if she did have something to, critique on or want an improvement on, that she could tell me and that we could work on that together. The ways to stop catastrophic thinking and personalization is 1, again, stop. Use that stop technique. Proceed mindfully. Observe your feelings, your past patterns. What happened in previous examples of your past behaviors? Proceed mindfully, okay? In my case, proceeding mindfully looks like waiting until 5 o'clock, until the deadline, and then following up with a text. Only 1. If she chooses not to respond, that's on her, If she chooses not to pay anymore, that's on her. Do things that build up your self-esteem, and acting on these skills is one of them. Understand that you do tend to suffer from lower self-worth and self-invalidation. Because people have invalidated you for so long, you can't even trust yourself anymore. You can't trust that what you've done is right or wrong or correct. It takes time to get that back, but it is possible. So instead of acting on those anxious instincts, I'm going to put up a little screenshot here of, why we're doing this kind of thinking and how to stop it. I hope this has been helpful to you. Please leave your comments, like, share, subscribe, and thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk next time. Bye.